Look up at the sky. It seems so calm, doesn't it? A vast blue expanse during the day, a velvet blanket of stars at night. But this peaceful view hides a rather violent truth. Our sun, the very star that gives us life, is a raging nuclear furnace. It constantly bombards our solar system with a stream of energetic particles, a relentless wind of radiation known as the solar wind. This isn't just a gentle breeze. It's a cosmic storm of protons and electrons, traveling at immense speeds. If this storm were to hit our planet unprotected, it would be catastrophic. It would strip away our atmosphere, boil our oceans, and make life as we know it utterly impossible. So how do we survive? How does this fragile blue marble, teeming with life, endure this constant onslaught? The answer lies in something you can't see, touch, or feel, yet it is as crucial to our existence as the air we breathe. It is our planet's magnetic field. Generated deep within the Earth's molten iron core, this magnetic field extends far out into space, creating a protective bubble around us. And within this bubble, we find one of nature's most spectacular and vital creations, the Van Allen radiation belts. These are not solid structures, but two enormous donut-shaped zones of captured energetic particles encircling our world. These belts were a complete surprise when they were discovered in 1958 by the American scientist James Van Allen using data from the very first US satellite, Explorer 1. Imagine his astonishment, sending a simple probe into the heavens and finding these immense reservoirs of radiation held in place by our planet's invisible magnetism. There is an inner belt, closer to Earth, filled mostly with high-energy protons, and an outer belt, further away, dominated by electrons. They are a fundamental feature of our planet's relationship with the Sun, a vast and dynamic system that dances to the rhythm of solar activity, swelling and shrinking with the Sun's temper. They are, in essence, our planet's first line of defense. To truly appreciate the Van Allen belts, let's think of them in simpler terms. Imagine you are standing in a hailstorm. The hailstones are the dangerous radiation from the Sun. Now imagine you have a very special umbrella. This umbrella doesn't just block the hail, it has a powerful magnetic quality. When the hailstones get close, instead of bouncing off, they get caught by the umbrella's strange power. They start to spin around the umbrella in a fast, swirling cloud. This is precisely what the Van Allen belts do. They don't block the radiation like a lead wall. They trap it, forcing the energetic particles to spiral along the Earth's magnetic field lines, keeping them safely away from us. This cosmic umbrella is incredibly effective. The particles trapped within the belts are moving at nearly the speed of light. They carry so much energy that if they were to reach us on the ground, they would shred through living tissue like microscopic bullets. The belts act as a holding pen for this cosmic chaos. The particles are held in a magnetic dance, spiraling back and forth between the Earth's north and south magnetic poles. Sometimes this system gets a little overloaded. During a particularly powerful solar storm, the Sun ejects a massive burst of energy and particles towards us. Our magnetic umbrella gets stretched and squeezed. Some of the trapped particles can be funneled down towards the poles, where the magnetic field lines dip down into the atmosphere. When these energetic particles collide with atoms of oxygen and nitrogen in the upper atmosphere, they create a breathtaking spectacle, the aurora borealis and aurora australis. Now, let's embark on a thought experiment. It's purely theoretical, of course, but it helps us understand the importance of what we have. What could possibly cause our magnificent Van Allen belts to disappear? For the belts to vanish, their source, the Earth's magnetic field, would have to collapse. Our planet's magnetic field is generated by the swirling motion of molten iron in its outer core, a process known as the geodynamo. This dynamo is not perfectly stable. Geological records show that the Earth's magnetic poles have flipped many times throughout its history, with north becoming south and vice versa. During these reversals, the field weakens significantly, perhaps to as little as 10% of its current strength. Imagine a scenario where this reversal process goes terribly wrong. Perhaps the convection in the core slows dramatically, or even stops altogether for a period. The geodynamo sputters and dies. The invisible magnetic bubble that surrounds our planet fades away like a ghost. With no magnetic field to hold them in place, the Van Allen belts would simply dissipate. the trillions of high-energy particles trapped within them would be unleashed. Some would be flung out into space, but a significant portion would rain down into our upper atmosphere, delivering a massive initial dose of radiation. The magnificent auroras would vanish, replaced by a faint uniform glow across the entire globe as the atmosphere itself is bombarded. The immediate effect would be the loss of our primary shield. The solar wind, that constant stream of charged particles from the sun, would now have a direct line to our planet. It would slam into the upper layers of our atmosphere with its full unmitigated force. The very first casualties in a world without Van Allen belts would be our eyes and ears in the sky, our satellites. These marvels of engineering orbit within or pass through the belts, and they are already heavily shielded to survive the intense radiation environment there. But that shielding is designed for the conditions we have now, with the belts acting as a buffer. Without the magnetic field, the entire near-Earth space environment would become a shooting gallery of high-energy particles. The solar wind and cosmic rays, no longer deflected or trapped, would bombard every satellite in every orbit relentlessly. The sensitive electronics at the heart of these satellites would be fried almost instantly. Imagine a constant storm of microscopic bullets riddling every circuit board. The solar panels that power them would degrade rapidly, their efficiency plummeting as their crystalline structure is damaged. Within days, perhaps even hours, our global satellite network would fall silent. The global positioning system, which guides everything from our cars and planes to precision agriculture and financial transactions, would cease to exist. The consequences would cascade through our modern civilization with astonishing speed. Global communications would be crippled. The internet, transoceanic phone calls, and international television broadcasts, all heavily reliant on satellite links, would go dark. Weather forecasting would be thrown back to the 1950s. We would lose the ability to monitor hurricanes, predict storms, or track long-term climate change from space. Scientific research would be devastated. Telescopes like the Hubble and James Webb, and countless Earth-observing satellites that monitor deforestation, polar ice caps, and ocean currents would be rendered useless. Our window to the universe and our mirror to our own planet would be shattered. While our technology in orbit would be the first to go, the effects on life down on the surface would be profound and deeply unsettling. Initially, our atmosphere would still provide significant protection, but it wouldn't be enough. The first people to feel this would be those in the air. Astronauts on the International Space Station would face a lethal dose of radiation in a very short time, making any long-term presence in space impossible. The station would have to be abandoned immediately. Air travel would become incredibly dangerous. Down on the ground, the effect would be more subtle at first, but insidious. The increased radiation would be like a constant, low-level sunburn for our very DNA. Cancer rates across the global population would begin to climb steadily. The risk of genetic mutations would increase, with potential consequences for future generations. The ozone layer would also come under attack. The same charged particles would trigger chemical reactions that destroy ozone molecules, thinning this vital shield and letting even more harmful UV radiation reach the surface. This would create a double jeopardy situation: an increase in energetic particle radiation from space, and an increase in UV radiation from the sun. Skin cancer rates would skyrocket. Cataracts would become more common. Our immune systems would be suppressed, making us more vulnerable to diseases. We would have to change the way we live. We might be forced to spend more time indoors, to wear protective clothing when outside, and to build our homes with extra shielding. The sun, once a symbol of life and warmth, would become an object of fear. Humans wouldn't be the only ones to suffer in this newly irradiated world. The entire biosphere would be subjected to the same stresses, and well, many species would be far less equipped to cope. Animals that migrate long distances are particularly vulnerable. Many species, including birds, sea turtles, and whales, are believed to use the Earth's magnetic field for navigation. They have an internal biological compass that guides them on their epic journeys across the globe. Without the magnetic field, this sense would be gone. They would be lost. Imagine migratory birds unable to find their breeding grounds or wintering habitats. Entire populations could collapse as they fail to navigate their ancient routes. Sea turtles might wander aimlessly in the ocean, unable to return to the specific beaches where they were born to lay their own eggs. The intricate choreography of global migration, a rhythm of life that has evolved over millions of years, would fall into disarray. This would have cascading effects through ecosystems, affecting predators who rely on the arrival of migratory prey and plants that depend on animals for pollination or seed dispersal. The increased radiation would also take a direct toll on the animal and plant kingdoms. Just like humans, animals would suffer from higher rates of cancer and genetic mutations. Insects and other small organisms with short lifespans might be particularly susceptible, leading to population crashes that could devastate the food web from the bottom up. Plants are also vulnerable. High levels of radiation can damage plant cells, stunt growth, and reduce crop yields. Furthermore, the chemical changes in the atmosphere could lead to the formation of acid rain on a global scale. As solar particles interact with nitrogen and water vapor, they can form nitric acid, which would then fall to the earth, acidifying soils and freshwater systems. The loss of the Van Allen belts and the underlying magnetic field would not just affect technology and life, it would fundamentally change the Earth's climate and weather. As I mentioned, the solar wind would begin to strip away our atmosphere. This process wouldn't be instantaneous, but over geological time, it would be relentless. Mars is a stark example of this. It once had a thicker atmosphere and liquid water, but after its own magnetic field died, the solar wind stripped most of its atmosphere away, leaving it the cold, barren desert we see today. Earth would be set on a similar, tragic path towards becoming a desolate, airless rock. In the shorter term, the weather patterns we are familiar with could be thrown into chaos. The massive influx of energy into the upper atmosphere from charged particles could have unpredictable effects on atmospheric circulation. One possibility is the increased formation of high-altitude clouds, known as noctilucent clouds. While beautiful, a global and persistent layer of these clouds could alter the Earth's energy balance, reflecting more sunlight back into space and potentially triggering a cooling effect. The electrical properties of the atmosphere would also change dramatically. Lightning strikes could become more frequent and more powerful. The global electric circuit, a constant flow of current between the ionosphere and the surface, would be disrupted. We don't fully understand all the ways this circuit interacts with cloud formation and weather, but meddling with it on such a fundamental level is unlikely to be benign. The beautiful blue sky we know is a product of our specific atmospheric composition and pressure. As that composition changes, as the atmosphere is eroded and its chemistry altered, the very color of the sky could shift. Ultimately, the climate would be destabilized. The complex dance of ocean currents, atmospheric circulation, and solar energy input that gives us our relatively stable climate would be broken. The gradual atmospheric stripping would lower air pressure over millennia, eventually causing our oceans to boil away into space. Let us step back and look at the full picture of this hypothetical, unprotected Earth. The verdict is stark and unequivocal. The disappearance of the Van Allen belts and the magnetic field that sustains them would be an extinction-level event. It would not be a sudden, fiery apocalypse like an asteroid impact, but a slow, grinding decay of every system that makes our planet habitable. It would be a planetary death by 1,000 cuts, delivered by the relentless radiation of space. Our world would become fundamentally hostile to the very concept of life as we know it. The first stage would be the collapse of our technological civilization. But this would be a mere prelude to the biological catastrophe that would follow. The steady increase in radiation at the surface would begin its insidious work, increasing cancer rates, causing genetic damage, and making the simple act of stepping outside a significant health risk for all living things. The environment itself would begin to unravel. The silent navigation systems of countless species would fail, leading to ecological collapse. The atmosphere, our precious ocean of air, would be slowly sandblasted into space, thinning over the centuries and millennia. The green and blue jewel of the solar system would slowly, inexorably turn into a red, barren desert, much like our neighbor Mars. This thought experiment reveals a profound truth. The things that make Earth a paradise are not just the obvious ones like water and air. They are also the invisible forces, the vast silent systems that work constantly in the background. When we look out at the cosmos, At the endless number of stars and galaxies, it's easy to feel a sense of insignificance. But when we look back at our own planet and understand the intricate, improbable chain of events and physical properties that allow us to exist, that feeling changes. It becomes one of wonder and of gratitude. Our existence is not a given. It is a product of a remarkable cosmic coincidence, a delicate balance of forces that has held for billions of years. We are currently facing a climate crisis, a biodiversity crisis, and a pollution crisis, all of which are the result of our own actions disrupting this delicate planetary balance. We are meddling with the systems that keep us alive, often without fully understanding the consequences. Our responsibility is to understand this vessel, to appreciate its intricate workings, and to ensure we do not, through ignorance or neglect, damage the very systems that protect us from the void. So the next time you see a beautiful sunrise or look up at the vastness of the night sky, remember the invisible shield that surrounds you. Remember the violent cosmic storm that is raging just beyond it, and the silent magnetic miracle that holds it at bay. Our planet is a rare and precious exception in the universe. It is a home, protected and nurtured by forces we are only just beginning to understand, and it is the only home we have. Protecting it, in all its complexity and fragility, is the most important task we will ever face. It is not just about saving the environment. It is about preserving the miracle of our own existence.